Hey, it's Skye again. Welcome to day 3 of the 30-day guitar challenge. This lesson was very specifically for day 3 because day 1 we talked about time, and then we talked about tone on day 2, and I wanted to follow that up, complete the trifecta of the things that I think are particularly important to the listener. So earlier I was saying that I felt like, the groove and the way your music feels is something that the listener really cares about more than, your scales and your arpeggios and things. And of course, the way you sound. So what might another thing be that the listener really cares about? Why would they come see you play guitar? And I think that a really important answer is your style, your voice. This is something I feel really passionate about because I just don't feel like it's really that interesting to just say you're good at playing guitar, because there's so many people that are playing good guitar. As you're watching this on YouTube, there's probably a suggestion box over there of other videos, and there's probably some 7-year-old somewhere who plays better than I ever will. So, that's a path you don't want to go down. For me personally. So, what is important then? And to me, I think it's just like if you wanted to be, a chef that everybody appreciates, or a writer, or an architect, or a filmmaker. You have to have a perspective, a style, a point of view. So your challenge is to think about what that might be. And there's no easy answers for most of us. For a lot of us, it doesn't happen at all. But for a lot of us, it happens over a lifetime, and it's kind of a moving target. But I think starting the process of thinking about what's my style, what do I bring to the table that maybe nobody else does or very few other people do. I just think it's really important. One of my favorite things to do, not that I'm the right person for the job, but if I get like a prodigy student, if a mom calls, and sure enough, there's plenty of them, these kids that can play amazing stuff, just copying stuff. But, really, where's that going? I mean, maybe that's satisfying for life, and that's cool. That's not where I'm coming from. I think, I'm thinking, I guess, more like an artist or whatever, I'm looking for more self-expression. But I think for some people, I can dig it. There's this challenge of playing this impossible guitar thing, and you embraced it, and you stayed committed, and now you can do it. Cool. But this isn't about that. This is more about sort of finding your own voice. So again, the challenge is just to think about it. This is one of these things I feel passionate about saying, but it's not like there's somewhere in the room I can point to that your style's right there and just go grab it. It's a hard thing. It takes a lot of reflection. But I think there's some breadcrumbs on the trail. I think, going with your preferences, especially when you're first learning guitar, everyone's telling you, got to learn this, you got to learn that song, you got to learn this scale. So it's really easy to get caught up in other people's idea about what you should be playing, or what's good and what's not good. But I think if we can kind of, again, not to sound woo-woo, but go a little deeper and just really think about, what you really like. What do you really like? What really gets you excited? So I think kind of following your preferences is a really, really good idea. So think about that as part of your challenge. And another thing is maybe like an exercise that I've given people in the past. I actually did a lesson in a German guitar magazine last year on this subject. And the example I gave was written out in tablature. I couldn't read that. I can't read German, so who knows what it really says. But the text of it was basically this idea of taking two artists that you like. So again, it's going down that preferences path, Take two artists that you like and imagine them playing together. What would that sound like? In the privacy of your own home. I think the first 25 times you try this, it's gonna be really weird and feel awkward. But eventually maybe you'll get the idea, like, okay, well, what do I like? And I remember thinking that, okay, my challenge at some point was I really like James Brown and I really like Tony Rice. So what would it sound like if those guys were playing together? And that's where I came up with sort of my way of playing Herbie Hancock's Watermelon Man, which the groove was sort of like, So to me, that was kind of like a JB's era groove of James Brown. It's sort of like a slowed down, if you've ever heard Pass the Peas. If you don't have that record, you should just run out right now and get that. Pass the Peas. It's just so killer. But anyway, I digress. But I was thinking about that groove, but then I was thinking like sort of there's some Tony Riceisms that I know on the guitar, like the flatted third, the flatted fifth, the flatted seventh, like, just those sort of things. And so I was thinking, how could you get that in there? Not a shining example, but so okay, that's a little bit better. And maybe you're thinking, I don't know what this guy's talking about. But in my mind, I sort of am feeling that groove of that tune that I really like by the JBs, and I'm sort of in my mind, I have this idea about like some of the things that Tony Rice does sometimes in his phrasing, and I'm putting them together. So I think that that's just one example of an exercise that you can do that's taking two of your preferences, putting them together, and now maybe you're doing something that's, sounds like you. So that's another challenge that you can do. Take two or three artists that you like, or tunes or riffs, or just your idea about that artist, the groove, the tone, whatever it is, and try to put it together and think about that. And again, think about, what is your style and what really kind of, what's your message, what's your voice, what's your perspective, but really think about that stuff. Life is short and everybody else is taken, you stand the best chance of being great at being you. The odds of being really great at being Al Di Meola or Alex DeGrassi or any of our guitar heroes are slim. So just, be yourself and see how it goes. All right, over and out.